You just loaded up your 6th coin flip solo queue game of the day. Your support starts feeding, your team starts flaming you for something that isn't even your fault, and next thing you know, the game's another 15-minute FF. Does this sound familiar to you? Trust me when I say that I know how miserable solo queuing as AD carry can be, which is why I'm here with some advice. Today, I'll be giving you 5 crucial tips every ADC should know to make that climb to Diamond easier than it ever was. Sound too good to be true? Well, stick around and find out. Let's start off with our first tip for today, straight out of the Art of War. Appear weak when you're strong. A lot of the time when I watch low elo ADCs play, they're way too quick to give away what they're planning. A great example of this is actually a really common scenario, the level 2 power spike. Most of us know about this by now, but how many times has it resulted in a kill? More often than not, bot lanes pretty much give away instantly on the second wave that they're going to try to hit level 2 as fast as possible and run at you the second that they do. This usually results in the enemy bot lane backing up and missing a few creeps, but never actually winning the lane outright. The best way to get the most out of your plays is to appear weak when you're strong. Let the enemy bot lane think that they can hit level 2, only to have your support use his Targons on the last minion just before they do. Do you see where this is going? Let me show this to you in a real game. Now this clip starts off with me about to hit level 3 on Ezreal, with my wave slow pushing into the enemy team. As we've gone over before in previous videos, trading is best to do when your wave is pushing out because you have more minions around you to protect you. Couple this with the fact that I'm level 3 to level 2, and it's pretty clear that I'm stronger than the enemy bot lane. However, I don't necessarily want to give this away immediately. I ward the bush and I wait for the opportunity to arise. This lulls the enemy bot lane into a false sense of security, and they actually decide to use both Fiddlesticks and Varus cooldowns, which makes for a really easy trade for me. Now, I still could have done this earlier, but hiding my intentions here actually gave me a much better trade than I would have had before. Now, believe me when I say that this tip can come in handy nearly every game you play. In fact, I actually found another application of this in the exact same game. In this clip, Rengar shows on my ward in river to potentially look to gank bottom. I know that I'm safe from his jump range, and so I don't necessarily want to give away that he's in the bush. He ends up trying to gank me anyway and failing, and the second the play is over, I take a pretty aggressive trade and dash in. At this point, Rengar knows the gank isn't going to work out, but what he doesn't know is that I still have a ward in the bush. What you're about to watch is hilarious, and I'll just let the clip speak for itself.
Rengar's angry. He just flashed on us. He got pissed off and just flashed in.
From this play alone, the enemy jungler lost his flash and his sanity. On top of this, their wave being stuck at my tower resulted in another free kill and a freeze for me, which essentially won both jungle and bot lane from one play. Pretty powerful tactic if you ask me.
Before we head into the next tip though, I just want to quickly remind you this guide comes from the #1 place to actually improve at League of Legends, skillcap.com. Most players don't realize trying to copy pro play or high elo streams will only slow you down. They don't teach you the tricks to climbing through low elo like we do, which is necessary for carrying teammates from hell. That's why we can guarantee you'll climb 5 divisions while actively using our service, because it actually works. So check us out after this, link in the description below. Now back to the video.
Now, if you've seen Squid Game, then you're no stranger to this next tip. One of the most important things every ADC should know is the concept of waiting for the green light. Essentially, anytime you can make a play, you want to look for an indicator or a green light before going for it. This can be anything from a missed enemy skill shot to something big like the enemy jungler showing on the minimap. Put yourself in the enemy bot lane's shoes. What ability would you want ready to use if you were to start a 2v2? Punish them if they have it on cooldown. A few examples of this would be Tristana mindlessly using her E or Q to wave clear, or Varus using his E to last hit a minion. These types of abilities are super effective for trading, and they have really long cooldowns. So if you see your opponent use one of these abilities on the wave, it's basically the green light that you're waiting for to go in. In this clip, I'm slow pushing into the enemy bot lane and planning on recalling after the next wave. I know that Hecarim started bot side, which means he should be back at around 430ish to kill his Grom. However, I end up seeing him stay top to repeat gank our Tristana, which immediately gives me the green light to make a play. I know that our 2v2 is winning, so I utilize both this tip and the one we went over before this to let the enemy bot lane make the mistake of freezing. This immediately results in me dashing in, punishing them, and getting a clean double kill to set ourselves up for the rest of the game. Waiting for the green light can turn a good opportunity into a great play, and it can also save you from making game-losing mistakes. Our next tip comes from something I learned in my last relationship. Don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Here we see a Samira in a platinum game. She notices the enemy Udyr as he clears out her ward in river. Shortly after this, her LeBlanc decides to come down for a roam, as we see the enemy support caught out in river. Now, if you were the Samira, what would you do here? Would you commit to the fight, or would you bail and play for your wave? You might have said Samira should commit to this fight. However, if you did, you'd be just as screwed as our Samira friend over here. Committing actually results in all of them dying, and Jhin getting a massive lead over her. The correct play here is to back off as soon as our LeBlanc goes in and instantly gets one shot. Looking back, there's definitely some clear signs that this play wasn't going to work out. Our LeBlanc wanted to make something happen bottom, noticing that Senna is out of position, but she failed to realize that this Udyr was seen on a ward just moments earlier and could be there to counter it. Once she gets nearly 100 to 0'd, Samira should know that the play is over. There's a pretty hefty price to pay for this decision, and if we look at the gold graph before and after the two plays, you can see just how impactful our decision to not let our team die ended up for us. We were down around 200 gold before this play, but after we all died, we ended up down nearly 1.3 thousand. Crazy, huh? Another perfect example of this is actually right after making an amazing play. In this clip, we just double killed the enemy bot lane, and my Trundle decides to stay on the map for bot scuttle, a gank mid, and then a dragon, even though the enemy team has already had the chance to get back on the map. This is an awful decision, and it results in him spam pinging me relentlessly for not helping him, and he loses his red buff. But why was this play so bad? Well, Trundle had just made multiple plays for us that resulted in huge advantages for our team. However, those plays require a lot of time and resources to make them happen. By the time he wanted to do the dragon, the enemy team already had a chance to spend their gold and get back on the map. So if they wanted to contest us at the dragon, it's almost guaranteed that we'd lose the fight. That's how I knew that the dragon was doomed from the start. Because I didn't die with my team, not only am I alive and on the map before them, but I get some really nice solo XP on this huge incoming wave. If I had died with them, I would have missed it entirely. Our fourth tip for today is all about the war of attrition, and for that reason, we'll call it play for the slow bleed. Playing for the slow bleed is all about chipping down your opponents over time, and maintaining your HP lead over them so that eventually you get to cash in on a big advantage. If only our Ashe here would have watched today's video, her game would look entirely different. This trade starts off amazing. Lux is 1 HP, and Ashe's lane is 1 because Lux being so low means she can play the waves following essentially 2v1 against the Jhin. Unfortunately, she decides to bet all of her chips on one hand and try to get the kill. This results in not only a double kill for the Lux, but her wave is in an awful position. Low elo players are only good at seeing the play in front of them. If you're a gold or below ADC main, you're probably only thinking about flashing in and killing the enemy Lux. However, killing her here is actually the wrong play, even if it pans out. To get a better look at this, let's see both situations side by side. The longer we can keep her in lane at low HP, the longer we can effectively have a 2v1 against Jhin and set up a bot dive with our jungler. This situation is better than using all of our resources to kill Lux, because as you can see from the first scenario, she'll just be back in time to collect the wave anyway. Now let's add on to this. In this Lucian game, I'm stronger than the enemy bot lane and I really want to look to 2v2 them, but I don't know where the enemy Hecarim is. How can I play for this slow bleed in this situation? The answer is to only look to use my Q and my auto attacks to trade. As long as I save my dash, I can always get out if Hecarim decides to go in. This will inevitably get Kai'Sa so low that even if Hecarim is here, we'll still win the fight. This is exactly what happens. I eventually get Kai'Sa low enough from bleeding her out over time that I can basically 2v3 them. As soon as my Q comes back up again, I commit to the all-in and I get a free double kill. All of the tips that I've shown you today go hand in hand. Remember this double kill from the green light tip? What happened just before this? I basically only looked to slow bleed the Kai'Sa out the entire lane phase. And if you look at the minute right before double killing this bot lane, I actually poked Kai'Sa down the entire time. In fact, all of these tips can be boiled down to our fifth and final tip for today to round out today's video. Good things come to those who wait. In every single clip from today, we exerted patience and we didn't take the immediate opportunity in front of us. Keeping your composure when playing League is the most important thing you can do, especially on ADC where a single mistake can sometimes cost you the game. Let's zoom out for a second. In our Ezreal clip about hiding our intentions, we stayed cool and we waited for the opening where Fiddle and Varus used their spells for us to trade. In our Lucian game, when we double killed the enemy bot lane by waiting for the green light, we patiently slow pushed our wave and were prepared to just end up taking a recall if nothing were to happen. In the Samira game, where she lost nearly 2,000 gold from a single play, she simply could have just waited for a better opportunity to arise and bailed on her teammates because she knew that the play was bad. And finally, in the Ashe game where she flashed forward and died, she could have just kept her cool and patiently pushed the wave knowing that the outcome would be good for her. ADC might be a tough role to climb on, I'll admit, but I promise you, with a little effort and these 5 tips in your brain, there's nothing that stands in the way of you hitting diamond.
Alright, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about Skill Capped. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing that you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Well, not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. In fact, it works so well that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week with over 2,000 guides curated into over 270 courses. No one can compare. We've also sent challenger players into ELO hell over 1,100 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month to improve fast and get the rank you've always wanted. Link in the description below. We hope you guys enjoyed today's guide. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.